You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. The purpose of this episode is to remove as much uncertainty as possible about how the exam operates. Anxiety often stems not from the material itself, but from unfamiliarity with the testing process. By understanding the formats of questions, the scoring approach, and the time management tools available, you put yourself in control. This knowledge allows your content preparation to shine without being undermined by avoidable surprises. Think of it like practicing with the exact equipment you'll use in competition. The more you know about the mechanics, the more energy you can devote to performance. This session will guide you through what to expect on test day, how the system works behind the scenes, and what strategies help you translate knowledge into results within the exam's structure and time constraints. The exam is delivered via secure computer-based testing at approved centers. This method ensures consistency worldwide while protecting the integrity of the credential. When you sit down, you will use a standardized workstation monitored by proctors, both in person and digitally. Security controls are strict. No personal belongings, no notes, and no external devices are permitted. While this may feel rigid, it levels the field for every candidate. Just as in cloud security, where trust depends on enforcing clear boundaries, exam security ensures fairness. Understanding that the process is tightly managed can actually reduce worry. You know the environment is controlled, so all you need to focus on is what you have prepared. Check-in procedures are part of this controlled environment. You will need to present valid government-issued identification, matching the registration records exactly. Expect to sign digital forms, have your photograph taken, and sometimes provide biometric confirmation such as a palm scan. You'll also acknowledge testing policies, which set out expectations for behavior, use of breaks, and confidentiality of the exam content. These steps may feel formal, but they are routine for every candidate. By anticipating them, you can arrive prepared and calm, treating the process as part of the ritual that signals the seriousness of the certification. Think of it like clearing security at an airport. It may take a few minutes, but once through, you can focus entirely on the journey ahead. Before the clock starts, you will be offered an on-screen tutorial. This is not part of the exam itself, but it familiarizes you with the interface, how to navigate between questions, how to flag items, and how to use any available tools such as strike-through or highlighting. Even if you are comfortable with computers, taking a few minutes to walk through this tutorial pays off. It is like warming up before a workout brief, but essential for preventing mistakes later. Knowing where buttons are and how the system behaves removes friction during the timed section. You will then begin the official exam with a sense of orientation, rather than wasting precious minutes learning the interface under pressure. Most of the questions you will face are single best answer, multiple choice items. This means you will be presented with several plausible options, but only one is fully correct according to the exam standard. The skill is not just recognizing the right answer, but also resisting the lure of distractors' options that are partly true or sound credible but fail in some key detail. These items reflect the real-world complexity of cloud security decisions, where multiple approaches may exist but one is clearly superior for the given context. By practicing with this format, you build the ability to sift through nuance, a skill as valuable on the job as it is on the exam. In addition to straightforward items, scenario-based questions will appear. These present you with short case studies or situations, and then ask you to apply concepts to decide the best action. The difference here is application. Rather than testing rote definitions, the exam probes whether you can transfer knowledge into a realistic context. For example, you might be asked how to handle encryption keys in a regulated industry, or what governance control best mitigates a described risk. Scenario-based items tend to be longer and require careful reading, but they mirror professional practice. Understanding that these are part of the exam helps you pace appropriately and approach them with analytical rather than purely recall-based thinking. It is also important to know that some items are unscored. These questions are included to test their validity for future exams, but you will not know which ones they are. This means you must treat every item as if it counts, because from your perspective, it does. While this might sound unsettling, it actually reinforces good habits. Consistent focus, steady pacing, and no second-guessing about which questions matter. Just as in cloud environments, where unseen controls may still be critical, the unseen unscored items remind you to apply diligence uniformly. Accepting this design choice prevents distraction and keeps you anchored in the mindset that every effort contributes to your outcome. Scoring on the exam uses a scaled model. Instead of raw percentages, your performance is transformed onto a consistent numerical scale that accounts for differences in exam forms. This ensures fairness, even if two candidates see slightly different sets of questions. For you, the implication is simple. Focus on doing your best across all items, because the system is designed to normalize difficulty. Do not get caught up trying to calculate your score mid-exam. The scaling process makes that impossible. Trust that consistent effort across domains is rewarded, and remember that the published passing mark reflects the scaled score, not a raw percentage you can track question by question. One common relief for candidates is the knowledge that there is no penalty for guessing. In other words, an unanswered question guarantees 0 points, while a guess at least offers a chance at credit. This means you should never leave an item blank. Even if you are unsure, selecting the option that seems most plausible can only help you. This is analogous to submitting a draft in a project. Even if imperfect, it can move forward, whereas submitting nothing leaves you with no result at all. Understanding this policy shapes exam strategy, especially near the end when time is tight. A quick guess is always better than silence. The exam interface includes bookmarking and navigation features that allow you to flag questions and return later. This creates flexibility in pacing. You can move past a question that feels time-consuming, continue building momentum, and revisit it with fresh perspective. Think of it as triage and emergency response. Handle what you can quickly, defer what requires more deliberation, and then circle back. By using bookmarking, you prevent a single difficult item from draining time needed for the rest of the exam. This tool is not just a convenience but a core strategy for maintaining steady progress and protecting your overall score. Break policies vary, but typically the exam clock continues running during breaks. This means any pause you take must be weighed against the lost time. Loud activities are usually limited to leaving the room briefly, with no access to study materials. Planning how you will use breaks, whether to rest your eyes, stretch, or reset focus, helps you maximize their benefit. It is like pit stops in a race, necessary for performance but costly in time. Entering the exam with a clear understanding of break rules prevents surprises and allows you to manage both energy and minutes wisely. Pacing is perhaps the most important mechanical skill. A common approach is to set a consistent time budget per item, such as 1.5 minutes, depending on the total length of the exam. This prevents you from spending disproportionate effort on a handful of questions. Practicing with pacing targets trains you to sense when to move on, much like runners learn to keep a steady pace, rather than sprinting early and exhausting themselves. With consistent pacing, you build confidence that you will reach every question, ensuring your knowledge has a chance to be expressed across the full exam. Within pacing, a triage strategy is essential. You can think of questions in 3 categories: quick, moderate, and time-intensive. Quick questions are those you recognize immediately and can answer confidently. Moderate questions require some reasoning or calculation, but are manageable within the time budget. Time-intensive questions demand deeper analysis or extended reading. By categorizing on the fly, you allocate time wisely. Secure easy points first, handle moderate items steadily, and defer intensive ones to review. This approach mirrors crisis management: stabilize the situation quickly, then allocate resources to the tougher cases. Triage ensures that every part of the exam receives attention proportional to its weight, protecting against the trap of overinvesting in a single item. As the section draws to a close, an end-of-exam review workflow becomes important. This is your chance to revisit flagged items and double-check uncertain answers. The key is prioritization. Do not reread every question, but focus on those you marked as high uncertainty. By narrowing review to critical areas, you use the final minutes effectively. It is similar to quality assurance in a project, targeting the riskiest points rather than trying to retest the entire system. Approaching review strategically helps you maximize improvement without falling into the trap of second-guessing well-reasoned answers. Finally, technical issues, while rare, can occur. The exam centers have procedures for escalation, including notifying the proctor immediately if your workstation freezes or if the system misbehaves. Documenting issues promptly ensures your case is handled fairly. Knowing this safety net exists can reduce anxiety, since you do not have to silently suffer through a malfunction. Treat it as you would an incident response plan in cybersecurity. You hope never to use it, but awareness of the process provides confidence. With clear expectations for handling problems, you can keep focus on performance rather than worrying about the unknown. Retake policies are also worth understanding. If you do not pass on the first attempt, there is a mandatory waiting period before retaking the exam, often increasing with each subsequent attempt. Knowing this in advance helps with emotional management. Failure is not final, but it does require patience and renewed effort. It also underscores the value of preparing thoroughly the first time, since delays can disrupt career timelines or certification goals. By seeing retakes as part of the system, not as personal defeat, you can approach them strategically. The important point is that opportunities remain, and persistence often leads to eventual success. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Reading discipline is one of the quiet but powerful skills that separate successful candidates from those who struggle. Each exam question has a stem, which is the main text, and then a list of options. The temptation is to skim everything quickly, but that leads to misinterpretation. A disciplined approach means focusing first on the stem alone, asking yourself, what is this question really asking, before even glancing at the choices. This practice reduces distraction from plausible-sounding answers and helps you frame the problem clearly. It is like hearing only the question in a conversation before reacting to suggestions from others. You must anchor your own understanding first. With practice, this method sharpens clarity, minimizes careless errors, and ensures that the reasoning process begins with the actual demand of the question rather than the noise of the options. Within STEMs, qualifiers are particularly important. These are small words that shift the meaning dramatically, absolute terms like always or never, comparative words like most, least or best, and scope indicators such as initial or final. Missing them can reverse the entire answer. Imagine directions that say, turn left at the last intersection, compared to turn left at the first intersection. Both sound similar, but the qualifiers change everything. Developing sensitivity to these cues is a learned skill, and it requires slowing down just enough to spot them. Practicing with qualifiers trains your brain to scan for these signposts automatically, which pays off enormously in the pressured environment of the exam where small details often distinguish right from wrong. Another subtle but common feature is the use of distractors that violate governance principles or misunderstand the shared responsibility model. For example, an option may suggest that the cloud provider handles all aspects of data security, which is never accurate. Recognizing these patterns becomes easier once you internalize the frameworks. Distractors often play on wishful thinking or partial truths, such as placing full compliance obligations on the provider or suggesting shortcuts that would breach policy. By noticing these patterns, you can quickly eliminate them, much as a chess player learns to recognize losing moves. This awareness comes from study, but also from practice with real exam-style items where distractors are crafted to mirror common misunderstandings. Plausibility checks help refine decision-making when multiple options look appealing. This involves mentally comparing each choice to the known boundaries of provider versus consumer responsibilities. If an option asks the provider to perform something that is clearly within the customer's scope, such as configuring access controls, it can be ruled out. Conversely, if the option assigns infrastructure-level duties to the customer, that should raise suspicion. This method turns vague intuition into structured reasoning. It is like checking whether a key fits into the right lock. Even if it looks close, only one option truly belongs. Plausibility checks protect against traps and keep reasoning aligned with established principles, ensuring that selections are defensible and consistent. Elimination sequencing builds on this reasoning. The process starts by scanning for factually incorrect or out-of-scope answers and removing them first. Narrowing the field reduces cognitive load and increases odds of success even when certainty is low. Think of it as clearing weeds from a garden. Even if you are not sure which plant is the healthiest, removing obvious intruders leaves fewer choices to evaluate. This sequence should become habit. First remove impossibilities, then weigh the remaining contenders. By applying it systematically, you avoid the paralysis of too many options and create momentum through the exam, even on questions where perfect knowledge feels out of reach. Time recovery tactics are another tool for maintaining pace. Some questions require deep calculation or multi-step reasoning, but spending too long on them early can jeopardize the rest of the exam. Instead, defer these to review. Mark them, move on, and return later if time remains. This practice is like setting aside a stubborn puzzle piece when building a jigsaw. Working around it builds the picture faster, and sometimes the missing piece becomes easier to place later. Time recovery is about discipline, resisting the urge to grind away at one item while dozens of others wait. It ensures that knowledge breadth is demonstrated across the exam, rather than bottlenecked at a few challenges. Guess optimization comes into play when time is nearly gone. The strategy is not random guessing but making the most defensible choice among remaining options. Use whatever reasoning is possible, eliminate one or two options, recall partial definitions, or rely on consistent principles like least privilege. Even in uncertainty, structured guessing raises the likelihood of success. This is not about luck, but about applying every bit of reasoning available under constraints. Imagine choosing a path at a fork in the road. By observing tracks or landmarks, you make the best informed choice, even without certainty. Guess optimization respects the principle that any answer has more value than leaving the item blank. Managing fatigue is essential in long exams. Mental stamina declines, and attention can waver. Micro-resets are simple techniques to refresh focus at natural checkpoints. Closing your eyes for 10 seconds, rolling your shoulders, or taking a single deep breath before continuing. These small rituals act as circuit breakers, preventing fatigue from snowballing into mistakes. Much like athletes use brief pauses to reset during competition, exam candidates benefit from structured recovery moments. The key is to use them deliberately, not randomly, so that they fit within pacing targets. Fatigue management keeps performance steady, ensuring your knowledge has a fair chance to shine throughout the entire session. Anxiety management goes hand in hand with fatigue. Stress can trigger rushed reading, shallow reasoning, or blanking on known material. Simple techniques such as controlled breathing, inhale slowly, hold briefly, exhale steadily, can calm the body and reset the mind. Reframing also helps. Instead of seeing a tough stretch as a threat, view it as an opportunity to demonstrate resilience. Just as pilots rely on checklists under turbulence, you can lean on practice strategies. Anxiety does not vanish, but it can be channeled into focus. By preparing methods in advance, you enter the exam with tools to manage inevitable nerves rather than being blindsided by them. Even small habits like keyboard and mouse handling affect performance. Misclicks, double selections, or unnecessary scrolling can waste time and create frustration. Developing steady habits, click once, confirm visually, move on, reduces overhead. The same applies to rereading. Scanning stems carefully the first time prevents repeated loops. These micro-habits seem trivial, but in aggregate they preserve minutes and conserve mental energy. Think of them as ergonomics for the exam. Small efficiencies that protect focus and reduce errors, just as proper posture prevents strain in physical work. By practicing these habits in simulations, they become automatic, freeing cognitive bandwidth for the actual content. Exam interfaces often include tools like calculators, highlighting, or strike-through functions. Knowing these exist and how to use them gives you extra leverage. For example, highlighting can draw attention to qualifiers in stems, while strike-through removes distractors visually, reducing clutter. The calculator, though simple, can handle basic arithmetic for questions involving risk calculations or key sizes. Familiarity with these tools before test day prevents fumbling under pressure. They are like safety features in a car. You may not use them constantly, but when you need them, their presence makes the drive smoother. Interface awareness ensures you use every advantage provided, turning small aids into meaningful support. As the clock winds down, the final 5 minutes require a decisive strategy. This is the time to resolve flagged items, ensuring no question is left unanswered. Hesitation here is costly. Instead, make clear final selections and move on. Even if confidence is low, the act of committing is better than leaving blanks. This closing phase is about decisiveness, not perfection. Think of it like finishing a timed race. You push through the line rather than slowing to adjust form. By entering the exam with a predetermined final 5 strategy, you eliminate indecision and maximize points from every possible angle. When the exam ends, result handling begins. You will typically receive a preliminary outcome immediately, with official confirmation following later. Whatever the result, the next step is reflection. If successful, you can consider how to leverage the credential in your career. If not, you plan for retakes with renewed strategy. Viewing the result as data, not judgment, helps maintain momentum. The exam is a checkpoint in your professional journey, not the final destination. This perspective transforms outcomes into direction, guiding your next moves constructively rather than emotionally. Evidence-based reflection is an extension of this mindset. After the exam, capture what worked: pacing habits, note-taking methods, or fatigue management techniques. Also note what hindered performance. Recording these insights creates a personal playbook for future certifications or professional challenges. Just as security teams document lessons learned after incidents, you should document exam lessons to improve over time. This builds resilience and efficiency, ensuring each attempt, successful or not, contributes to growth. Reflection turns experience into wisdom, preserving insights that might otherwise fade. Finally, ethical adherence is non-negotiable. Maintaining integrity before, during, and after the exam is central to the profession. Sharing exam content, seeking unauthorized aids, or violating policies not only risks your credential, but undermines the trust placed in all security professionals. Ethics are not just about rules, they reflect the responsibilities of safeguarding systems and people. By respecting exam integrity, you model the very values the certification represents. This commitment strengthens the meaning of your achievement and aligns your professional identity with the standards of the broader security community. In summary, mastering the mechanics of the exam is about more than memorizing facts. It is about disciplined reading, strategic pacing, effective use of tools, and resilience under pressure. These skills ensure that your knowledge is expressed fully and fairly within the time allowed. By approaching the exam with a practiced plan, you reduce uncertainty and transform stress into focus. Mastery of content and mastery of mechanics together create the conditions for success, proving not just what you know, but how effectively you can apply it in a high-stakes timed environment. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.